Hello and welcome back to Collinsville Regionals. I am Jake Muller, joined this time by John Hu, and we are going to have one more round 3 match. We had a little lunch break, so we figured we'd squeeze one more game in.
That's right, and we're going to have two pretty old players, I would say. We got Mario Serrano on the stream side and Greyson Garren on the opposing side. Now, Greyson is really old, all the way back to 2010.
Yep.
So this will be the 3rd year he's playing with the restricted Pokemon.
Yeah.
2010 was my first format too, although I wasn't any good back then. So, can you really say it was my first format? But Mario is also pretty experienced. I think he broke out in 2014, same year I broke out, and so we kind of share that kinship, you say. And we're both pretty well known for doing some weird off-the-cuff stuff. So we'll see if any of that comes out today in round 3.
It's really cool to see Greyson and Mario out here because they are two, stalwarts in the community. Greyson especially, like you mentioned, he's been around since 2010, which is, almost the very beginning of VGC. And so it's really cool to see them out here, both doing well. They're both 2-0, but it's still like hanging around the community, playing tournaments, seeing their friends. It's been really neat to see. And so both of these players, they both have success at high level. And so it'll be really cool to see the two of them place each other, especially like you mentioned, John, that, Greyson's one of the most experienced people in this game when it comes to these restricted formats, considering he played the very first restricted format.
Yeah, we'll see if any of that experience comes to help him in preparing the teams that he's going to be bringing us today. And they're going to go jump into team preview here soon. Mario is going to be running something a little more standard looking than I have seen from him, but he is running Pokemon that we don't see quite a lot of just yet, I think. And that will be Bronzong.
Yeah.
This Pokemon gained a lot of traction in VGC 2016 because of its ability Levitate, sometimes carried Heat Proof, but more importantly, Trick Room as well as Skill Swap. This allowed it to kind of dominate the weather game, especially important in that metagame as, the permanent weather with their devastating, nullify effects.
Yep.
Super important for board position. So Bronzong was really important then, and we'll see if Mario can use it to his advantage now. Greyson, on the other hand, looks to be kind of more, hodgepodge of the things that we see around in this format. He's got some good Pokemon, Smeargle, Xerneas, a classic. We'll see when he gets into combat here, but he's got some other Pokemon that we might see some cool stuff out of. I do expect that, here's something on his team that's going to be a little different.
Right, both of these teams, at first glance might seem pretty standard, but when you look at Mario's team, the Bronzong definitely stands out. Like you mentioned, very popular back in 2016, but really hasn't seen much use yet this year in 2019. And so it'll be cool to see how Mario decided to, train his Bronzong, what moves he wants to carry on it. And Greyson's team as well. All 6 of these Pokemon, are good. They're popular, they're common, they're all very good in this format. But it'll be cool to see what Greyson has done with them because, most of them, other than like Xerneas, which is always going to be running Geomancy, a lot of them have room to, switch moves around in their movesets and possibly, be trained in different ways to make them more effective against certain Pokemon.
Yeah, we do see the same kind of restricted pairs from the last match. The Xerneas Kyogre versus the Xerneas Groudon. So on Mario's side, we have Xerneas, Tornadus, Tsarina, Kyogre, Incineroar, and Bronzong. Kind of similar to what Brandon was running last game.
Yep.
And Greyson, on the other hand, running Tapu Fini, Xerneas, Groudon, Smeargle, Kartana, and Incineroar. So a bit different from what Nick Navarre ran in his side, but we'll see if Greyson can pilot it just as well.
Right, Mario's team is almost identical to Brandon's in the 6 Pokemon, other than that Bronzong being replacing the Amoonguss. But, both of those slots, Fairy-type resist, which is very valuable on any team in this format. The difference between Bronzong and Amoonguss is that Amoonguss, has the options to support its team with Rage Powder and Spore, possibly Clear Smog to negate boost, whereas Bronzong can set up Trick Room to negate boost in a different way, and possibly fire off some pretty strong Gyro Balls into Xerneas.
Yeah, Bronzong was definitely infamous for a certain combination in 2016, the Gravity Hypnosis combination. So it'll be interesting to see if Mario packed that as well. I would not be surprised to see Hypnosis, and we'll see how many he has to fire off blind here, if he has to fire off any at all. There is Tapu Fini on Grayson's side, so we'll see how well he can handle that.
Yeah, so Bronzong generally in 2016 was going to be carrying Skill Swap if there was a Kyogre involved, and then Gravity Hypnosis if there was a Groudon. Considering Mario only has that Kyogre, it's likely that it's going to be carrying that Skill Swap, but a lot of people did run Hypnosis with Kyogre on their Bronzongs back in 2016 too, so we'll definitely see what Mario's decided to do.
Alright, with Mario's lead is here with Incineroar and Tornadus, where Grayson's actually going to lead with Smeargle and Groudon. Now, Tornadus without the rain kind of doesn't seem in place. It can definitely set up like Tailwind and fire up strong Hurricanes, but in Sun you definitely don't want to be doing that with a reduction to accuracy that it suffers. So maybe we might see a switch on Mario's side to maybe get the rain up, but that is a big risk to take when Groudon's on the field.
Right. We just see Smeargle go straight for the Fake Out into Tornadus. Incineroar on Grayson's end not opting to Fake Out, on Mario's end rather, not opting to Fake Out, and Groudon getting off a lot of damage with that Rock Slide.
Yeah, and that -1, so it is going to get the flinch onto Diana Bros. Mario known for using Rock Slide infamously, but here he's suffering the consequence of being slower than the opposing Rock Slide.
Yeah, so that Rock Slide, it's a lot of damage onto Tornadus for being, not boosted by that same type attack bonus, and being at -1, so that might indicate one of the item choices when Greyson could have opted for on his
Yeah, Rock Slide is also a little uncommon for Groudon at this stage in the meta. They mostly just go for Precipice Blades, and if they want to try to do another type of attack, some carry Fire Punch, and then if they really have trouble with those flying types, I see Stone Edge.
I've seen Rock Tomb,
yeah. So Mario's just going to switch out Incineroar. Doesn't want to take too much damage there. Going to give up that board position just a little bit. Maybe realizing, coming to the conclusion that maybe that item on Groudon is something he can play with. Kyogre going to come in and set up Rain as Tailwind fires off as well. Ooh, and the Lovely Kiss gonna come out onto the Kyogre that just switched in. Super good targeting there from Grayson's side. So Kyogre not gonna have any time to waste sleeping. Might have to hope for those low sweep turns. And the Rock Slide miss does allow Tornadus, another turn to kind of do something. Maybe use Taunt to stop the Smeargle, or fire off a strong Hurricane. Gives Mario a chance to get back in the game after that mediocre turn 1.
Right, so Kyogre coming in on the Lovely Kiss isn't great because, it's guaranteed to stay asleep this coming turn. But, Tornadus dodging the Rock Slide means it sticks around one more turn. The Rain being up means its Hurricanes are perfectly accurate. It can't miss, due to that 70% chance or, possibly some evasion boost from the Smeargle's Moody or anything. But, it will hit Hurricane no matter what. It does have the Taunt option, like you said. Likely carrying that Supersonic Sky Strike as well, and so it has the potential to get out some big damage this turn.
Alright, and here's that Taunt, so it's going to stop Smeargle, make sure has no more room to support that Groudon, which is so far just staying in and throwing down the damage, and that's a lot, considering this is game 1 of the match. Throwing out a lot of damage, getting an early lead can definitely lead to an advantageous position later on, so we see Tornadus go down to that Rock Slide here.
Yeah, so Tornadus goes to get knocked out by Rock Slide. Kyogre taking a little bit more damage, but it looks to be on the bulkier end because, those two Rock Slides still leave it at about, 60% of its health. And so, if it is able to wake up this turn, it could be pretty big for Mario because the Smeargle, being taunted, it can't, fire off any Lovely Kisses, any more Follow Me's, blocks a potential Wide Guard or a Spiky Shield. And so this Groudon is stuck in again on the field against a Kyogre in the Rain. From that damage, possibly Choice Band locked into that Rock Slide, and so, even though Greyson did take the first knockout, this Xerneas being able to set up pretty much for free this turn, in addition to this Kyogre potentially waking up and firing off a strong water attack, means that Mario's really not in the bad spot at all.
Right, Mario's about to kind of swing the momentum back in his favor. Xerneas gonna, boost up, and Greyson gonna throw in his Xerneas as well, but maybe a little too late since if Greyson did not bring the Kartana, which I feel a little surprised there. As we see it come in for the Groudon. Geomancy is going to fire off, and Kartana's got a lot of work to do here. It's going to have to handle this Xerneas. It'd probably take a lot of damage in the process.
Right.
If the Kyogre wakes up right now, this could be really, really bad for Greyson. Since Kyogre's just going to get off the damage, maybe break a Sash.
Right.
Put that Kartana into a precarious situation where it's no longer able to do its job correctly. But Kyogre's just going to stay asleep for another turn. Says, I'm not ready yet. Wake me up later.
Right. Kartana is a very important mon on Greyson's team in this matchup because, it's the only fairy resist on his team, and it's one of only 2 water resists, but it looks like, Greyson didn't bring that type of feeling in, so it is the only water resist. So, Kartana is pretty good at checking Xerneas, it's pretty good at checking Kyogre, but really it has more of a hard time if it has to face them down at the same time. Like right now, it's going to be able to take 1 Moonblast, most likely, if it's carrying an Assault Vest item, possibly a Focus Sash, but the combination of a Moonblast plus something like a Water Spout or Origin Pulse likely will be able to clear out this Kartana well. The Xerneas on Greyson's end could potentially set up. It might be fearing, a Moonblast and a Water Spout or something like that. So it's hard for this Kartana to put in much work now because it just has to face down 2 things that it normally would check solo.
Yeah, we see Kyogre coming out and coming in for Incineroar on Mario's side. Maybe doesn't want to risk staying asleep a 3rd turn there. As we see, Greyson's going to switch his Xerneas back out. Doesn't want to immediately lose it to a possible Moonblast. Going to switch in Groudon, get the weather back. Definitely a good play there. Maybe if Kyogre decided to stay in, mitigate the water attack he throws, maybe Kartana getting another chance to get an attack off. Mario just going to protect Xerneas, stay safe from that Kartana as Leaf Blade going to come out into what used to be Kyogre for a little bit of chip, but not really, putting the Incineroar just under half as Tailwind peters out for Mario.
The Protector Mario side is a little bit confusing considering he was in a very commanding position. He had his Xerneas out against Kartana and Xerneas, potentially fearing a double up with Moonblast and Smart Strike, but considering he has the Geomancy up and he did have the Intimidate in the back, Xerneas was very likely to survive that turn and fire off a strong Moonblast or Dazzling Gleam. And if he had decided to go for an attack this turn, say he did Dazzling Gleam on that turn when Groudon switched in, it's very, very likely that another Dazzling Gleam would knock out both Groudon and Kartana. So he kind of, I'm not going to say he wasted an opportunity there, but he didn't take full advantage of the position he was in.
And, it's fine to get all the damage off, but playing it safe was also, kind of an okay move. Nothing really happened to, Greyson didn't take advantage of that turn as, right here, he's just going to play it safe, get a fake out, Moonblast into the Kartana, takes the Moonblast really well.
An evasion.
Definitely,
here we go.
Definitely has that Assault Vest item, and Serrano just got in for free. So I'm not really sure how Mario will have to deal with this. He might have to get a little lucky with the Lovely Kiss missing his Pokemon.
Right.
And has to get a little lucky hitting the Pokemon too.
Well, Smeargle definitely coming in. Keeping his Focus Ash intact is huge for Greyson because now we saw on turn 1 it has Fake Out. It will be able to Fake Out either of these Pokemon. Assuming he goes for a Fake Out onto Xerneas, the Kartana might be able to knock out Incineroar over here with the Sacred Sword. It might come very close. Incineroar's in that range where a -1 Sacred Sword may be able to pick it off, but he actually doesn't go for Fake Out at all. He goes straight for an attack with both of his Pokemon.
And Moonblast is going to take out Kartana, so this is going to be kind of an uphill battle for Greyson. Since he no longer has... Ooh, yeah, definitely. Since he no longer has the Kartana, which was his best answer to Xerneas.
Right.
And that Lovely Kiss miss, man. That's...
And an accuracy drop.
It's a tough running for Greyson right now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he kind of got, fair trade, if you want to say so, because, Incineroar did miss, so still has that Sash intact. But now he's just going to have to, play a little more aggressively with Lovely Kiss and hope it hits. If we were saying that it may be Choice Band Groudon based on the damage, and if it is, then it definitely does not have Protect, and he's in a dangerous position right now. This could be really bad if Lovely Kiss can't hit, especially with that accuracy drop.
Right, well the evasion boost means that, Sprinkle, if it does choose to go for that Follow Me, it might be able to buy some more turns with its teammates. The Groudon being in the field right now means that, if he starts firing off Precipice Blades, this Kyogre, even though it's got a decent chunk of health, really doesn't want to be taking a Choice Band Precipice Blades. And it's very likely that it will be able to fire one off this turn regardless of what the Xerneas does, because, Choice Band Groudon tend to train themselves in a bit bulkier way.
That's right. We see Xerneas Protect here. Doesn't want to get put to sleep. Doesn't want to try and, do anything funny. Just wants to say, I know I got this, so let me stay safe.
Yep.
We do see Precipice Blades and Follow Me from Greyson's Pokemon. It does miss the Kyogre, so really getting unlucky with these attacks, missing their target. First the Rock Slide, and then we have, Lovely Kiss, Precipice Blades.
Yeah.
So maybe didn't feed them enough Poffin or anything.
That's been an interesting game, because this Smeargle now has a speed boost, it has an evasion boost, but it has an accuracy drop, and so it can try to gamble with hitting Lovely Kiss. It can just play a little bit safer and go for moves like Follow Me that might, buy it more turns with dodging Moonblast or Water Spouts or what have you. But, Xerneas not taking any damage this turn means that Mario's still in a pretty okay spot. But we gotta go see Wide Guard revealed.
Yeah, so Wide Guard here making a play, hoping to catch Mario with the Dazzling Gleam, and there it is. So protecting his Pokemon for another turn, revealing that toolkit of Smeargle. Precipice Blade's gonna come out. Another miss and another miss. So the double miss on Precipice Blades. You hate to see it, but the name of the game is Pokemon, and that is just something that happens every once in a while. And Kyogre did stay asleep for another turn, which might have actually been not in his favor, since you can't put it back to sleep anymore, right?
This is a roller coaster. The Wide Guard blocking Dazzling Gleam was huge for Greyson. We do see that Groudon is actually faster than Kyogre, so that reveals no Scarf on Mario's Kyogre. But, he's missed 3 Precipice Blades now in 3 attempts, which is really not what you want to see if you're Greyson. The Kyogre likely would have been knocked out by 2 Precipice Blades, so he could have been in a pretty commanding position. But, instead, he still has to face down, this boosted Xerneas at full health. This Kyogre that is now likely to wake up and threaten your Groudon with a Water-type attack. But, the fact that he revealed Wide Guard kind of turns this into a bit of a mind game. Yeah,
so here's the follow me. It's going to go ahead and say, yeah, I know you're going to use Moonblast this turn, so I'm going to suck it up right here. And hopefully, Groudon can actually hit the target it wants to hit, the Kyogre, and get maybe a knockout. Although with a bulkier set of Kyogre might have another miss, but not on the target that matters, although would have definitely been really nice damage to have. It's going to take Kyogre all the way down to the red, and the berry is going to, get consumed while it's asleep. Maybe he's just hungry when it's... and Ice Beam going to come out, but miss. So maybe a bit of a misplay on Mario's side. Ice Beam here not going to hit anything. Even a Water Spout at that point would have been a little better, get a bit of damage on the Groudon.
Right. He just covered... I think it's a fair play if you want to cover the Wide Guard. If you double target the Groudon there, you hit it with Moonblast. Likely doesn't knock it out, but Ice Beam will knock it out. Unfortunately, he just got that turn wrong, and Greyson, very smartly clicked follow me there, knowing that the Wide Guard, was in Mario's head. Fortunately, dodging that second Ice Beam with the Smeargle, so we'll be able to stick around one more turn. All
right, Moonblast from Xerneas going to hit the Groudon, and it's not going to take it out quite yet. Lovely Kiss Miss. That accuracy
and it
drop.
Hits both.
It does hit both the Precipice Blades, but it might be like 3 turns too late here, as both of the Pokemon still hang on. This Water Spout is a little bit of a piddly, tea kettle of a spout, but
it was the
Smeargle does get hit. It is at 1 HP, so no matter how much damage you do, as long as you hit, it's going down. And last 2 Pokemon here, you just got Groudon and Xerneas for Greyson. It's still not quite over, but it's going to be really tough, and Greyson might need to get a little lucky or hope Mario misplays to take the game away from him.
No, I think it's looking like it'll end in Mario's favor now because he still does have that boosted Xerneas. There's nothing stopping him from clicking Dazzling Gleam to pick off that Groudon, get a lot of damage off on Xerneas. Considering he's shown Water Spout and Ice Beam, the last move is either another water attack to cover, a low health water moves that when you can't collect Water Spout right now. Possibly Thunder. We've seen a lot of Kyogre go for Thunder just to win that mirror. But we are going to see that Dazzling Gleam to finish off Groudon.
It does a little over half to the Xerneas. That's definitely a lot of damage here. So let's see the Geomancy from Greyson. Let's see if Last Stand Deer can bring it back. Go. Let's see. I guess he would have to go reverse 3-0 in this case. But might be tough depending on what the Kyogre decides to throw out after this boost. It'll either knock it out or take it to very low health.
We do just see Ice Beam though, possibly hoping for a freeze, maybe a little bit more chip damage.
Does just a little bit, puts it into a pretty precarious range, especially since, Mario's still got that Incineroar back.
Right.
So what could happen is, I might expect Mario to actually protect Xerneas and let Kyogre go down.
Right.
And then have Incineroar come in, apply some more pressure, and force the double target or choice.
Yep.
And that's what we see. Yep.
Like
Here's the protect.
This is interesting. This game may just come down to a speed tie between the
Oh, but it doesn't actually choose to use Dazzling Gleam. Here's another Ice Beam, so not quite the right read. Not enough still, but it's kind of a good position for Greyson. In fact, this one might be a little better, since if you win the speed tie, you get Dazzling Gleam off, you can get a double down, protect off a fake out, and then, win from there. But
Very, very true.
it depends on how much that Dazzling Gleam can do, and he has to win the speed time. So
And he does it.
yeah, unfortunately, that's the name of the game. So
Yep.
Moonblast from Mario's Xerneas is going to take out Grayson's Xerneas. And game 1 goes to Mario after so much work Greyson did to try to get himself back in position. Game just said, nah, you miss.
Yeah, that was a very up and down game. There was a lot of misses on both ends. With those evasion boosts, with those inaccurate moves, and so it's hard to, as either a player, it's hard to look back and say, what did I do right? What can I change? When there's so many different factors that went into that game. If the Smeargle didn't have evasion boost, that would have gone very differently. If Greyson didn't miss his precipice plays, it would have gone very differently. And so, I think if you're either play, you just have to kind of reset here. Think, what did I do well? What was out of my control that I can't really change? And what do I need to do to win this next game?
Yeah, I think the Groudon is definitely a powerful tool for Greyson.
Yes. Yep.
And I definitely expect to see it being brought as well. He did a pretty good job of protecting it. It was just not following through with those Precipice Blades.
Right.
So maybe he might try the similar game plan and hope his moves actually connect. Or, maybe go for some lovely kisses. He did get pretty lucky getting a 3-turn sleep on the Kyogre in the first game, which would have helped if he hit his moves again.
Right.
But we'll see if Mario can use the Tornadus a bit more for a bit longer, because it didn't stay around too long.
Right.
I feel like it would have been much nicer to have to handle Smeargle in the late game.
Yep.
Since it was causing a bunch of trouble for Mario.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it is carrying that Flyinium Z Crystal. One thing that's really good for is if Smeargle starts racking up evasion boosts, you can always go for that Supersonic Sky Strike, which is guaranteed to hit. Those Z moves cannot miss, and so it's one way to kind of clear out Smeargle through those evasion boosts. But the Groudon revealing that it's faster than Kyogre is pretty important for Greyson, because a lot of times Groudon has to be careful about staying in against Kyogre and risking taking the Water Spout. But knowing that Groudon is faster, if Kyogre is in range to be knocked out by a Precipice Blades, he can just freely stand and go for it. Didn't really work out for him last game, considering he missed 2 in a row on the Kyogre, but if he hits his moves this time, it might go a lot better on his end.
Alright, so here we see the same leads from game 1. We got Groudon and Smeargle on Greyson's side, and Tornadus Incineroar on Mario's side. Now, first turn of game 1, Mario didn't suck.
Right.
We'll see if this is a repeat, or if Greyson decides, hey, I want my Groudon to actually, lock into something that's not terrible against Xerneas. Maybe fire off some lovely kisses now and hope he tailwinds or taunts, or doesn't taunt, basically. But, Incineroar is still exerting that fake out pressure too, so you have to be careful of that if you're Greyson.
Right. Both of these Pokemon with the potential to fake out on the field. Smeargle being faster means it has that priority, but it does have the option to target the Tornadus instead, as it did in game 1.
Alright, so we see just a raw switch from Groudon in turn 1. Says, I'm just going to get rid of the Intimidate boost now. Start taking my Xerneas before you do, basically. Fake out, going on to Tornadus. Here's the Flare Blitz. This is a strong move, not fake out, and it's going to target down that Xerneas switch for a lot of damage.
That is quite a lot of damage. Mario knowing that the sun is up means that his Incineroar is free to fire off these Flare Blitzes and get a lot of damage off onto whatever might want to switch in.
Yeah.
But the Xerneas taking over half means that Greyson's Xerneas is going to have a much harder time, winning a game on its own, considering it really can't take more than one more hit.
Unfortunately, Smeargle does not have Heal Pulse, but if Greyson did decide to bring Tapu Fini to this match, which those do carry Heal Pulse commonly,
right,
you could use that to boost it back up and say, all right, dust yourself off, you got this.
Very true.
Follow me here to protect the Xerneas from getting hit by anything. Smart play, of course, and we'll see what Mario does to answer that. Tailwind to match the speed boost that Geomancy will provide that Xerneas is a good play as well, as we see the Geomancy go off. I would expect maybe Incineroar to go for a U-turn here, maybe get yourself in a better position. Or if it's carrying it, go for the Snarl.
Right.
They do carry that sometimes to manage the threat of Xerneas. So we'll see what Mario decides to do with that Incineroar here, as Xerneas finally getting off that Geomancy that it was looking for in Game 1, but just couldn't take advantage of in the end game.
Yep, and there's that Snarl, like you said.
Yeah, so it's going to hit both the Pokemon, pop that Sash on Smeargle, and get an all-important drop onto these Xerneas. So not as powerful as it was, still pretty powerful. Probably not in the range to get Incineroar from that amount of HP, but he can definitely try if he wanted to.
Yeah, that's a very smart turn from Mario. He matches the Tailwind, or he matches the speed boost from Geomancy with his Tailwind. He breaks the Smeargle's Focus Sash with Snarl, while more importantly lowering the Xerneas' special attack. So now it's only at +1, and it likely will not be able to knock out the Incineroar with a Moonblast. And so if Tornadus is carrying that Flyinium Z Crystal, Mario could be in a position to take 2 knockouts this turn with the Supersonic Sky Strike into Smeargle and with a Flare Blitz into the Xerneas.
All right, another follow me from Greyson Smeargle trying to redirect all the damage onto
There it is.
And we see the Flying Name Z coming out from Tornadus. And, well, obviously it's got one target, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going down.
Yeah, it's got to go into that Smeargle, and I don't believe we saw a special defense boost, and so the Smeargle will very, very likely get knocked out by the Supersonic Sky Strike, which means that anything that Incineroar goes for this turn, whether it be Flare Blitz again, another Snarl, it will be hitting that Xerneas. And if it is that Flare Blitz, it's likely going to take that second knockout.
Yeah, Groudon on Greyson's side actually not in his favor, playing for the enemy team. Maybe need to do a little bit of investigation there. As Moonblast just going to take out Tornadus, but Tornadus already did his job. Got the Tailwind up, got off the Z move. Here's a Snarl, so Xerneas lives to see another day.
Right.
And it is back to its normal, natural special attack stat, which is good for Mario, but it still has those boosted defense, or special defense and speed stats, which could still be used for Mario's Kyogre if you chose to bring that, or Mario's Xerneas. You're gonna have to set up and start doing damage.
Interesting choice to go for Snarl there again. I suppose you get Xerneas back down to neutral special attack, and so you make it much less of a threat. But, we saw Flare Blitz do over half on that first turn. If he decided to go for a Flare Blitz of his own, he very well could have just taken that knockout. And so it would be interesting to decide why, or hear why he wanted to go for Snarl instead. On Greyson's end, the Moonblast knocking out Tornadus is helpful, but I feel like the Incineroar might have been the better target just because it was much more of a threat on that turn. Yeah,
with the Tailwind still up, it actually gives Mario this kind of initiative to get Incineroar out with U-turn if it has it, or just, switch it out. Or, get off that Flare Blitz that maybe could do a lot of damage to Groudon here and maybe take it out with a double target. So we have no idea how Mario is going to play this here, but Greyson kind of put himself into on the back foot with that knockout. Especially since Tornadus keeping it there without a Z move and in Sun with Hurricane might have been a better choice. We see Mario does switch out Incineroar though. Throw up the Rain here, get the Sun out of here, get his job. See, Xerneas Protect, so Mario's very fond of that move.
Yeah.
Does not like to see his Xerneas take any damage. Moonblast is going to go into that Protect, so another call on that Moonblast as Precipice Blades comes out, hits the Protect, does connect with Kyogre, so good work, Groudon. It's going to do probably a little over 50%. Yeah.
Yeah, so Greyson's back into a spot where a win in this game is very feasible because Mario deciding not to Geomancy that turn or get off any damage means that this Groudon will be able to fire off the Precipice Blades almost without any hindrance because it is faster than Kyogre as we saw. Xerneas without a boost won't be able to knock it out at all. We do know that Greyson's Xerneas is still boosted. It does have that speed boost and special defense boost, even though its special attack is down to neutral. And so, if he wants to get off a Moonblast onto, Mario's Xerneas, he will be able to, but instead deciding to switch back out into Incineroar.
All right, Incineroar gonna have that Intimidate. Maybe that's enough to stop Kyogre from going down to another Precipice Blades here. It's definitely not going to stop Xerneas from doing what it's already been doing here, just firing off strong attacks. As Moonblast going to come down, probably targeting that Incineroar, but no, it's actually going to be the Kyogre. It is not going to pick up that knockout.
So
very close. Here is that Berry going to heal all the way back up to about 50% as we see Ice Beam. Thanks to the Tailwind still outspeeding that Groudon. It's going to target Groudon, so interesting play there. And Precipice Blades going to connect with both targets here. That should just be good enough to knock out Incineroar.
It
is. It does, yeah.
That's a great turn from Mario because, he knew that, taking down Kyogre with Moonblast was a big priority because it was the only thing threatening his Groudon at that point. Even though it didn't get the knockout with Moonblast, it scared Mario enough into not clicking Water Spout. If he did decide to Water Spout that turn, both of Greyson's Pokemon would have taken a lot more damage. Probably not get knocked out because it is still, kind of far from full HP, or it was at that point. But, Groudon would have been much lower and in a range where, Moonblast and Xerneas at neutral may have been able to knock it out at that point.
Yeah, so now Mario is actually the one kind of in the worst position as Greyson goes for Substitute, revealing that move here. So that's probably why he didn't go for the Dazzling Gleam before.
That would explain it.
Mario goes for his own Geomancy, gonna just make sure that he can match the powerful end game here. And, you know, since Greyson is not at +2 special attack anymore, this is going to be bouncing attacks off the other Xerneas.
Right.
So all he has to do is kind of take the damage from the Precipice Blades and go from there, as it does connect, knocks out that Kyogre. Does less than 50% onto that Xerneas, which might come into play. So, you know, sent in that Incineroar to faint, but it kind of did its job anyway.
Right.
And, you know, let's see if Mario can clean sweep the rest of Greyson's Mons with the one Xerneas, but maybe not, as he looks like he might be going for the forfeit.
Yeah.
And yeah, he does.
So Greyson still had a fourth Pokemon that he hadn't revealed yet. You know, assuming it was that Kartana in the back, this game was all but over. You know, Kartana with that Assault Vest item that we saw in Game 1, easily able to tank a Moonblast and Xerneas and fire back with a Smart Strike. And so, you know, assuming that was Kartana, you know, Mario had lost that game. It might have been smarter, you know, play it out, make Greyson reveal what he brought. Because we don't know. You know, Mario doesn't know the fourth Pokemon that Greyson brought. You know, if he was able to knock out that Groudon with the Moonblast that turn, he could have forced Greyson to reveal it. And so, an interesting choice just to forfeit there. But, you know, same result in the end. You know, Greyson definitely won that game. He played very well. You know, knew what he needed to do and did it very well. Yeah,
I definitely think Mario kind of threw away a bunch of the win conditions that he could have went for early game. A little bit of a riskier mindset, but he was kind of already, you know, in the driver's seat when he got that first turn Flare Blitz damage. So it was kind of interesting to see him change mindsets halfway through the game and go more of a, I want to mitigate the damage.
Right, he really took his foot off the gas
pedal. I want
pedal.
to go for the damage.
Yeah, you know, the turn where he could have knocked out Xerneas with Flare Blitz and snarled instead, that kind of an interesting choice there, because the Flare Blitz, you know, we would have seen it knock out the Xerneas and take Greyson down to his last two Pokemon. And I can't really come up with a reason why he would have wanted to snarl instead.
Yeah, I think even if you had like U-turn, that would have been a little better.
Right.
We still haven't seen the whole set. We've only seen Flare Blitz and Snarl, so
right.
You know, Mario is playing a bit more of an information game, so maybe that's what he's going to go ahead and reveal in the last game here. But Smeargle still did a bunch of work. Didn't really get to do any, you know, kissing. So maybe he's, you know, done with the PDA.
Right.
But we'll see how they both adjust to this last game here, going into round 3.
Switching it up, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So we have Kyogre and Tornadus from Mario. It's a bit of a different lead. We do know that the Kyogre is slower, so Rain is going to be up at the end of this interaction. Yeah,
given that information and knowing that Greyson led with his Groudon the first 2 games, you know, leading with Kyogre, really not a bad play at all on Mario's end. You know you're going to be slower and probably take a Precipice Blades if you want to attack, but you also know that, you know, your Rain is up, your water attacks are going to be at full power. You have the option to taunt the Smeargle if it wants to try and go for Lovely Kisses. I like this lead from Mario a lot because he immediately starts threatening Greyson.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, kind of choices that they can make here, and they kind of give an ultimatum on Mario's end. So Mario's the one kind of deciding what's the game pace.
Yep.
Whereas Greyson might have to choose, well, do I want to put something to sleep? Do I want to fake something out? Do I want to afford my Smeargle to get taunted here? I think I can get some sort of damage from Groudon, but is it worth, you know, taking that much damage if Kyogre decides to attack?
Right.
Tornadus is going to switch out, actually, so here is that juicy IPA.
Oh, Serena.
Ooh.
Potentially blocking a fake out.
And switch out from Groudon here. That's going to be into the
Kartana.
Yep. So this is going to be mitigating some damage.
Fake out. That's
going to be
huge.
blocked, yeah. So a perfect read and adjustment from Mario here, as the full power Water Spout is going to drop onto both Pokemon. Does about 50% of the Kartana. That Assault Vest putting in a lot of work. And Focus Sash is going to save Smeargle, but with Serrano hitting the field, it's not looking like it's going to stay around much longer here.
No, that's a great turn from Mario. He called that perfectly. You know, he knew that the fake out was likely coming out from Smeargle, you know, to buy Greyson a turn, and he knew that he hadn't been bringing Serena, so Greyson had no reason to expect it was in the back. And so he very smartly brought the Serena in, blocked the fake out, and punished Greyson's switch into Kartana with a huge Water Spout, breaking Smeargle down to Focus Sash. And, you know, putting Kartana into a spot where it's going to have a really hard time, you know, checking both Xerneas and Kyogre once again.
Yeah, so if you're Greyson here, you might want to try and, you know, save your Smeargle. Switching into something and getting the sun back might be a good idea here, especially with Kyogre. But if I'm Mario, I'm definitely just taking my Kyogre out of the field right now. I don't want to be taking the Leaf Blade from Kartana, switching it back into Tornadus, or into Incineroar as a good idea. But no, that's just going to be a Protect. Pretty safe, not going to take any damage in that slot. as Leaf Blade does connect with that protect. So Serrano's going to get a free move,
Ooh,
high jump
there it
kick.
is.
So this is targeting that Kartana, and it's enough to take that out.
Another huge turn for Mario. You know, considering Serena very commonly carries the move Feint, the Smeargle is not safe staying on the field. The Smeargle decided to go for, well, anything it went for if it stayed on the field. I believe we've seen all 4 of its moves. But a Feint would have been able to knock it out, considering it was just about 1 HP. So, you know, calling the switch, you know, knowing that Kartana couldn't really damage Serena that well, he decided to protect his Kyogre from any Leaf Blades, you know, pick up that knockout, which puts Greyson in a much worse position because now, you know, he just has this, well, he has Choice Band, Groudon, and Xerneas, which will likely jam into this turn. So he's not, this isn't over by any means, but, you know, the Smeargle in the back is not going to be very useful for the rest of this game.
Yeah, we do see that Greyson's going to get the Xerneas in, so this is going to be a setup turn for him, as I don't think, you know, Mario can really put out any pressure with these Pokemon. I guess you get, you know, how you Power Whip if you carry it on the Tornado, which could be good, but as far as actual, true, meaningful damage comes, Xerneas is pretty much safe to go setup.
Yeah.
So might have to get into a position with your own Xerneas if you're Mario to try to stop Xerneas from setting up. Tornadus going to come back in for Kyogre here. Hope to, you know, absorb Oppressor's Blades if it comes out, but here's the Geomancy from Greyson's side. Gonna get ready, gonna get boosted. Pump yourself up.
Now, you brought up a good point with the Power Whip. You know, Power Whip is a very strong attack, and Serena's not known for being a strong attacker, but it has a pretty high base attack, and, you know, Power Whip is a very strong move. So if it does decide to go for Power Whip into that Groudon, it might be able to get off a bunch of damage, but it's not going to be able to attack at all.
It looks like she's gonna be the recipient of all that damage.
Yeah.
Fire Punch getting locked into is an interesting maneuver, since, you know, if your Choice Band, which I think we all know it is,
Right.
then, you know, Kyogre comes in, your Fire Punch does, you know, diddly squat.
Right.
So we really need to see how Mario can utilize this now if he gets the advantage to take care of Xerneas, which, you know, he didn't bring Incineroar, or we haven't seen it yet. So I'm wondering how exactly we're going to see Mario deal with the boosted Xerneas. I mean,
Right.
you can't just willy-nilly Water Spout anymore, so he might just take damage, but, you know, if he plays the cards right, he might be able to get enough damage off where Xerneas can be dealt with.
Yeah, so I mean, you know that Groudon basically has to switch out this turn, and so you know that you're going to be able to take this knockout on the Smeargle as it comes in. Now, Groudon's going to come back in and reset the sun. Yeah, you see it switch there. And so it's an interesting turn because you can Tailwind with Tornadoes if you want. I imagine you Water Spout. Oh, you don't even Water Spout.
Yeah, I guess going for the Protect and be safe here. As Tailwind comes out, and if Greyson subbed right here, it's going to be huge.
True.
If no sub comes out, though, then this is going to be a little worse. Moonblast is going to take out Tornadus. Perhaps that's what Mario wanted, but kind of wasted a free turn to do Water Spout, Ice Beam, anything like that. Moody is going to proc here, give the speed boost to Smeargle. Really huge, actually, since it means that even in Tailwind, the Kyogre will be outsped by that Smeargle and might be able to go for a Lovely Kiss. But it also still has Fake Out on board, just came in.
Right.
Didn't get punished, so, you know, Mario being a little defensive in this set, and it might come back to bite him, even though it worked out so well in Game 1.
Right. It's another example of Mario, you know, having a bit of an advantage and kind of letting it slip. He chooses not to go for his more offensive options. And, you know, we know that this Xerneas doesn't have Dazzling Gleam on Greyson's side. So he has to pick one to target, whether it be Tornadus or Kyogre. And if Kyogre did decide to go for a Water Spout there, it would have done a sizable chunk to Xerneas, considering that Kyogre was still at full health. Obviously would have knocked out the Smeargle as well. You know, and Mario would be in a much more serviceable position had he gone for that. But now he kind of has to rely on his Xerneas, you know, not being put to sleep, not being critical hit, and he has to win this war against the opposing Xerneas.
Yeah, he is going to go for that Geomancy. He can't afford to take too much damage from Greyson's Xerneas, and we'll see. We'll see if the Kyogre is actually, you know, going to be able to do much here. As I think the Moonblast might just come down onto Kyogre. Yeah, so gonna take it pretty well. Actually, does get the special attack drop, but as long as it connects with the Smeargle, as Smeargle does connect with Lovely Kiss, very, very nice from Greyson. It does mean that Mario is just going to need to get a little lucky here. Going to need to get a couple of, you know, quick wakes as Ice Beam into the Xerneas, trying to fish for that freeze probably, but not getting it. So
interesting turn again. Like Mario, I feel like Water Spout was kind of your only option there, just because the Smeagol is really a big deal. Ice Beam really not going to do much to Xerneas, regardless of whatever health you're at, considering it does have that boosted special defense. The Smeagol is a real issue now because it can pretty freely just go for another Lovely Kiss, while Greyson decides it can either pick off the Kyogre or just go for guaranteed damage on Xerneas.
But I would actually expect, since Greyson has the opportunity to, he might as well just go for the substitute. But no, he's just going to go for straight damage. Doesn't want to mess around, The longer I let that thing sleep, the sooner it'll wake up.
Right.
As Lovely Kiss is going to come down and hit that Kyogre. So both of Mario's Pokemon asleep. I feel like we've seen this before.
This is not the first time we've seen 2 sleeping Pokemon on this stream today. But Greyson, once again, very, very masterfully, finding his way out of a iffy position, possibly trying to capitalize on a tendency he picked up in Mario to play a little bit more defensively. Targeting that Tornadus on the turn Kyogre protected, targeting the Kyogre on the turn where it had to go for an attack. Greyson played this very well from a bit of an iffy position. It looks like he's definitely going to be winning this game now.
Yeah, Mario going to go ahead and forfeit. Seems like maybe morale wasn't super high at the end of the game.
Right.
Had really strong starts in games 2 and 3, but just couldn't, close it out, couldn't keep up the momentum.
Yep.
And, defensive play is all well and fine, but you need to kind of know when to switch those modes back on and off. And, it looks like Mario just wasn't prepared to do that this time.
Yep. So Greyson taking a pretty interesting set. There were a lot of options that could have gone either way on either side. The game 1 was just crazy with all the dodges for Precipice Blades and evasion boosts and everything, and so that match could have gone either way. But it was fun to watch. These 2 veteran players bring their best to this tournament. Greyson having a great day so far, going 3-0. Mario only gets down to knock down to 2-1, so he's definitely not out of this tournament yet, and he's very capable of making a comeback.
Yeah, and lunch break was just now, so that was why we were able to show you 2 matches. And Mario did tell me that he had the very quick lunch break before he got onto the stream, so hopefully that doesn't affect his performance the rest of the day. I hope to see him back in the top, leading the pack here.
Yep.
So we'll have a short interview with the winner, Greyson. And we'll be back after this quick break to pick his brain a little bit. All right, and I am back with Greyson Garren, winner of that last set versus Mario Serrano. How are you feeling?
Feeling really great considering I haven't really won on stream in a long time, so that's a huge confidence booster right there.
Right. Yeah, same here, actually. I think last time I did that was 2017 or something. So I totally feel you on that one. But yeah, tell me a little bit about your set. That game 1, you kind of committed to having Groudon do some damage, and in the end it didn't really work out as Mario was able to position the Pokemon in a way where he was just able to take the game. Mm-hmm. But how did you adjust for game 2 and 3?
Game 1, it was really crucial for me to learn that his Kyogre was slower than my Groudon. Mm-hmm. So I think taking that into account into games 2 and 3, I was able to try and think of some ways to try and go around that. And
mm-hmm. Right. And that did end up working out, I think. Mm-hmm. Played a little bit safer with the Groudon, for sure.
Yeah.
And tell me a bit about Groudon. Game 1, we can just not talk about that one if you don't want to. But yeah. It looked pretty powerful from the damage on the first few rock slides. So mm-hmm. Maybe you use that as more of an offensive tool to get your Xerneas rolling, or how does that work out for you?
It's especially bulky Groudon. It's mainly there for drought and such, but I felt like putting a choice band on it, it could still deal enough damage while retaining the bulk that you normally see on like sword stance sets.
Right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Smeargle here, very important, I think. And I think you played it very well, aside from maybe, game 3, turn 1, but in the end it didn't really matter for that game. So what kind of move selection process do you go in for Smeargle, since there are a lot of moves you can choose from?
Yeah. Honestly, it just depends on the situation, like on the fly. Like when I got my evasion boosts, I felt like that, I could risk, setting up a follow me to try and take like potential single hit shots and such, but it just depends on the fly.
Right. Okay. So when Kyogre came in here on, I guess, games 2 and 3, and you maybe noticed it was more bulky.
Yeah.
So how did that kind of influence what you were doing, especially maybe game 2, where it was just taking the hits and then dealing some damage back?
Yeah, pretty much. It wasn't really concerning me that much because of how bulky it was. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I'm not sure, but all I know is I just dealt with it.
I guess if Kyogre is super bulky, it's not super threatening, right? Or something along those lines.
Yeah.
All right, but do you have any shout-outs you want to have shout-out to any people?
Shout out to Chicago crew and from Central Illinois who we drove down with.
Okay,
and,
cool.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, all right. Well, it's always nice to see you back up here.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll be back with round 4 at 12:45, I believe. So stay tuned.